Good morning. Welcome back to Little Shop of Nerds. We are the podcast that talks about everything nerd related. So, welcome back to the two favorite co-hosts. Mike, what's up?
And Julia.
All right, today's hint is golden, meaning we're going to be talking about a 90s anime called Golden Boy. Oh my god, this anime was. It's like half the time you want to stop watching, and half the time you're like, do I want to jerk off?
Okay, so I have some issues with this.
I think we all did.
And it was mainly because boobs do not move the way that they were portrayed in the series.
Are you talking about the one with the blonde chick or the
blonde chick?
Yeah, I noticed that, right? Because it fucking kept moving around. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Did I just get hypnotized for a second?
And they like to show off nipples.
At least, yes, guys. Even some animes you can show nipples, and oh wait, isn't that hentai? No, hentai blurs vaginas or dicks.
Yeah, so hentai normally. I mean, I don't know if this was actually shown on primetime television in Japan, though. That's the thing.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it did. We just don't know back then. And all we know is just buckle up with us, and we'll try not to make as many dick and tit jokes as we can.
Okay, so we're gonna start with the first episode. There's only 6 episodes, so if y'all want to go check this out for whatever fucking reason, just go to Crunchyroll. It's on Crunchyroll. It's uncensored on Crunchyroll. You can see all the nipples you want to if that's your thing.
6 episodes, not very long. And this is out to the people who keep thinking anime is fucking for children. Well, look at this. It's not, you fucking assholes.
I can just imagine, a parent, oh, this is going to be for children. Sit your child in front of the TV, and then there's nipples.
And see, this is why we make this podcast to show you, parents, what you watch out for and what you think.
Now, I'm not saying that boobs are, a bad thing, because
everyone loves boobs.
Because,
come on.
Well, boobs are essentially made. Women's boobs are essentially made to feed our children.
Well, yes.
And then over the years, men just decided to sexualize them, so now that's why boobs aren't cool anymore.
I don't know. Depends on the person, because you get that person who's an ass man and a tit man. To me, I go with both. You just can't stop at one.
That was more than I wanted to know, Mike.
Okay, what about you?
What about me?
Are you sure you're not curious about it, though?
We're not getting into that.
Alright, whatever.
I got a boyfriend.
You don't tell me, don't take it.
We're not going to discuss that.
Alright, the first episode of the first season.
Well, the only season.
The only season, okay. We got a guy, was it Kamino?
His name is Kentaro.
So, he is a free. He said he's a freer, meaning he only takes part-time jobs
for a limited amount of time.
And he says he does this to learn about the world, learning about stuff that's new.
Yeah, because he had actually gone to law school. He had all of his credits to graduate, and decided instead that he was going to drop out, I guess?
Well, no,
or take time off to go learn about the world.
But here's the thing, he already graduated. That's what they said.
No, I thought it said that he hadn't graduated yet. He got all the credits, but he just didn't graduate.
No, he graduated. He just didn't go to the graduation or anything. But either way, right?
I'm looking it up right now.
Well, either way, Kentaro, you're kind of wondering, sounds like a normal guy. No, he ain't. This guy should be behind bars.
Okay, it says here he's a freeder, which is a traveling student who, despite having met the requirements for a law degree, left Tokyo University without graduating.
Well, whatever.
Yeah. He is living freely, roaming Japan from town to town, job to job. During his travels, Kentaro meets several women whose lives he dramatically changes. Despite poor first impressions, he constantly observes and studies the people and events around him, recording his findings in a notebook he carries on about. Sorry about that. I had a cat that was trying to eat my food over here.
Anyway, yes. And this is where the first episode comes. And you wondering, how does he travel? Well, he travels on a 5-speed bike. So, there you go. He's traveling on a bicycle. And like I said, he's just riding his bike, going to this new job. And a woman almost hit him, who was rich, by the way. Gave him, like... And here's the thing, they say, well, he doesn't sound too bad if he went to... Well, here's the thing. The dude is he's a perv, pretty much. He's like if he sees tits, he's like,
yeah, his voice annoyed the hell out of me.
And, like, he always, like, had that Super Saiyan voice, which is, like, so annoying. And I'm like, anyways, he gets, like, money from the rich lady, and...
Yeah, she gives him $10,000.
Tries to give it back, brush off his hand, gets his bike fixed, and... Then the Yakuza, he just sits by, didn't do anything, takes out notes. Then he goes to this building that he's going to be working in. Turns out it's a computer business. And here's the thing. The computer business is run by women. Nothing by women. And I know you're going to say, well, what's wrong with that? Nothing. I actually think it's cool. But here's the thing. When you have a perv like Kentaro, it's a free buffet to him.
Yeah, so the job that he said that he had studied for the programming, but he just, like, studied something really basic. And they were like, well, we don't have anything for you to do, so we just need you to... So they made him clean.
And...
he was cleaning the toilet.
And here's the thing. The toilet belongs to the blonde hair lady who gave him the $10,000. And turns out she's the boss of the company. And she didn't want him, but, he kept him as a cleaner.
Yeah.
And you said something about a toilet?
Yeah, oh yeah. So, he was cleaning the toilet, and he was all over the toilet.
And you...
rubbing on it, kissing on it.
Because it was the boss's toilet, and...
He hit the bidet on it, and water squirted into his mouth. She caught him, or before that, actually, he was thinking about wanting to be dominated by her.
Uh-huh.
And then that's when we actually saw, like, nipple, and not just outlines of nipple.
Yeah, and here's another thing. Like, when he was, like, when he was making out with the toilet, and it was, like, one of those fancy Japanese toilets, I'm like...
Those are actually more popular than you think in Japan.
I know, right? And I was like, man, I wish I had one.
Yeah, I wish I had a bidet on mine, too.
I was like, because think, it would save me money in toilet paper.
Oh, yeah.
But besides that, he's trying to clean, he's not working out, she's ready to fire him. And here's the thing, he cleans up the locker room, and what you expect it is, it's a female locker room.
He gets stuck in the locker, and he basically loses his mind when he sees all the women changing.
Uh-huh.
And so, anyways, he finally gets out of the locker room, and he sees that somebody had left the light on. And he was like, oh, this light's been left on. I should go turn it off because, like, maybe I'll get praise for saving money on electricity. So he goes over and he turns off the light, notices that the computer is still on, and not knowing, he turns it off without saving anything.
Well, he turns off the monitor first. You think, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But he turns off the fucking...
He unplugged the server. That had all of their work on it, because they had something that was due, like the next day. And the Madam President, the woman, the blonde woman, the boss, she comes back and she's like, what happened? And he was like, oh, I turned it off because I thought you were done. And she goes, we just lost everything that we've been working on for the last 3 months. And she's like freaking out, and she fires him. And she's like, well, I gave you that $10,000. She goes, what did you do with that $10,000 I gave you? He goes, well, I spent it. So she freaks out. She throws him out. And then I think like a week later, you see all the girls just working, and they're so like haggard because they've been working like nonstop for like the last week trying to catch up.
And you see like every, like those little bottles of energy juices they have on that are popular in Japan. That's like in that brown bottle they have, and they're like ready to kill over. Then Kentaro brings over a
floppy disk.
A floppy disk.
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel old now.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, to them it's all the work they did. He fixed it, did everything.
It wasn't exactly what the program that they used, but it was enough to able to get them
back on track.
And so then they all go out because he had just dropped it off, so like he can't be far. So then
the president goes try to find him.
Yeah.
And once she gets outside, she sees the two old couple. This old couple helped.
They ran the bike shop, I do believe.
And they say he gave us $10,000 to pay off the Yakuza. And she's like, and she gets into her sports car and tries to find him. I'm like, and she somehow starts to fall in love with him. I'm like, lady, it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm. So that was the end of the first episode. The second episode, I do believe, is with the politician's daughter.
Politician's daughter.
So this girl has to be at least 15. Okay, Kentaro
high school, yes,
is 25.
Creepy.
So, so her name is Naoko, I do believe. So her parents, or her dad is like the mayor of this town that he's in, or something like that. Mayor, I think it was.
Yes, and pretty much Kentaro's helping him get reelected. That's part of his job.
Yeah, he's part of their campaign.
Then he's writing down notes what they do, like giving out money or whatever, help. Along with the Yakuza, the fucking whole thing they do with politics. Mm-hmm. Then, the wife of the politician told him, hey, like, the maid couldn't do it. He said he'll do it because he saw the daughter.
Yeah, so when we first meet the daughter, I don't know if they're, like, in a church or a house or what.
I think it's the house.
But he looks up and we get a clear view of her panties.
I'm like, what? Yeah, I saw that.
So, underage girls' panties. I'm going to go the benefit of the doubt and say that she was at least 18. But,
I don't think so.
We don't know. Considering that he's 25 and she's a high school student, which could be anywhere from 15 to 18 years old.
Yeah, but don't forget, we're in America, so...
Well, the age of consent of sex in Japan is 18.
Yeah, but we don't know her age. Let's just keep it as that so we don't get canceled now.
Anyways, whatever it was creepy. We see her panties. Probably shouldn't be showing underage girls' panties, but
nah.
I'm not the one that drew it, so...
Hey, it's not our fault, so... Anyways, like I said, he goes there...
Because he wanted to see her again.
Clean up. That's the whole toilet thing again.
Yeah, because he had heard that no guy can get close to the mayor's daughter. Because he tries to protect her. So, like, I don't know how true this story was, but, like, one of the guys was like, yeah, the one guy, he confessed his love to... Naoko at school, and he ended up being drowned or something like that.
No, it was he stole her panties and
Oh, that's what it was. Yes, he stole her panties, and then he was drowned.
yes.
So, Kentaro is cleaning up the house. He goes into the bathroom to clean the bathroom. Sees the bathroom with the little, that she would use, and she catches him just like the blonde-haired girl does. Catches him all over her toilet.
And wiped his face in the sink and, goes back to her room, give him like a towel. And pretty much she's just doing the whole, oh, I faint spell.
Yeah.
Just to get him in trouble. Or try to make her fall for her so she can, like, say, he did this, but here's the thing.
I don't think she wanted to get him in trouble. I think she really wanted to sleep with him and then get him in trouble.
Yes, that too, but here's the thing. Kentaro knew what she was doing.
Yeah, we didn't find that out until later.
When he steals his notebook.
Yeah, so we forgot to mention this. So Kentaro carries a notebook around with him everywhere. And he writes stuff down. So, like, because that's how he studies, is he writes everything down. And he picks up things extremely quickly. And so, because, if he's smart enough to graduate from law school, then, So he's writing down these things with these girls, or whatever they're doing. And he picked up on Naoko's personality real quick. Because you can tell she's very manipulative. Because every time, she gets him to start, like, tutoring her in math, I think it was.
Math, and, like, she does this whole fainting spells, or...
She wears revealing clothing around him, tries to get him to, like,
touch
cave.
But he doesn't do it.
He does touch her boobs at one point, but that's because she fainted and he caught her.
Yes, and, like I said, they just did that, and one night she told him to come to her house, which he did. She
threw herself at him.
And she
fainted, and then that's when she stole her notebook.
Yeah.
Or stole his notebook. And then she did have him come back, and then she cut her clothes up, yelled for her father, and then her father and, like, a bunch of guys of her father's men came in, saw her with cut up clothing, and she said he tried to R-word me, and they beat the shit out of him.
And they did, and but here's the thing. She thought he was going to deny her or lie that no, I didn't do this. And know what he did? He just says, I love her, and grabs her, kisses her, and the guy beat the shit out of him. And the next day he's just going out of town. They get back, and she gave him back his notebook. And she was like, but before that she was like confused. Why would he do this? Why? And the next day gives him back his notebook. And he's riding out of town, and the politician's in the car saying, you sure you want to let him go, boss? He's like, yeah. He's like, he did not make any excuse to try to be all innocent. He knew what he was doing, and he said he's a good guy to have around.
Yeah. So, and the politician did end up winning the election, too.
And like when he's opened his notebook, she pretty much gave him her underwear and saying, I want you to take my virginity, call me whatever. I'm like, please stop.
Yeah. So, the next episode
is the noodle episode.
Yes. And this girl's name is Noriko.
And Noriko runs a noodle shop with her mom and dad. Mm-hmm. And Kentaro's learning how to make noodles.
Because they need help because Noriko's father had his arm broken.
And by a guy who's...
We'll reveal that in a minute. So his arm gets broken.
Mm-hmm.
Kentaro's learning how to make noodles. Obviously, he's not doing too well because, it's his first time.
Yes.
But, he gets better as he
Yeah.
goes on. He's obviously in love with Noriko.
Mhm.
And this guy in this really nice suit shows up with, like, a fruit basket or something for them. And he, asks Noriko, he's like, hey, my boats, or the boat for my company is in port if you want to go see it. And she's like, oh, yes, I would love to go see it. So then Kentaro's like, what's going on here? Because, he likes her too. Because she had brought flowers for him for his room because he has a room there at the noodle shop.
Mm-hmm.
And, so she tells him that she really likes to arrange flowers and that the next time that she arranges flowers is she wanted it to be for the man that she falls in love with.
Yes.
So she goes on this date with the guy. I don't even remember his name because who fucking cares?
He was a dick.
Yeah. So she goes on a date with him. He kisses her and asks her to marry him. But she's like, I need time to think about it. Like, they're not even officially a couple.
No.
So, we find out that I think he was actually the one that did run over her father, broke his arm, and he's trying to get them to sell. So what he's thinking is that he could marry Noriko, and then after 6 months, get the shop closed, divorce Noriko, open up a bar, and then his real girlfriend would finally have a job.
And here's the thing. Know who's been listening to all that crap? Is Kentaro.
And he was writing it all down in his notebook.
And he gets the shit beat out of him.
Yeah, because, he confronts them later, Kentaro does. Because Noriko... Oh, well, no, because before that, Noriko goes on another date with this jerk. And he basically tried to essay her.
Well, yes, pretty much.
He tried to get her to have sex with him.
At a racetrack, by the way.
In a private booth, so no one would have seen them. But Kentaro was there.
And, you can see he's trying to unbutton her shirt, and Kentaro tries to button back up. And he's like, and he unzips her pants, and he just, takes his hand and, and the guy's doing stuff to Kentaro's hand, and, he makes out with him, and I'm like, and the guy doesn't know because he has his eyes closed and shit. I'm like,
yeah,
try not.
And so then because he says that his kiss was supposed to. He says something along the lines of, she should be creaming her pants by now. But Noriko was just sitting there looking completely calm, and she's like, I think I gotta leave. And he was like, okay. So, yeah, it was freaking Kentaro. So, basically, Kentaro protected Noriko from that.
Yeah, and she comes, asks him about him, and she said, maybe you should really think about your standards right now and find another guy. And she's like, what, you think he's too good for me? And he's like, no, I think you're too good for him. And before I get any further, when you have a guy friend and the guy feels like the girl, let's say I'm going to give an example. I'm not going to give an example, but saying, she said, what, you think I'm too good for him? If you think that's what he's saying, he's not. He's trying to think about what you're going to get yourself into. You don't know who this guy could be. He could be fucking having another chick or dude on the side that maybe you should try to get a little more into it before you jump into something big.
Yeah, because they weren't even in an official relationship. It was just kind of he took her out on a date and was like, hey, marry me. And she's like, I need to think about it. Because she was worried about what would happen to her parents if she left.
Yes. And this is why...
So when she went to Kentaro, she was like, hey, can you stay on forever and take care of my parents? Because I'm thinking about getting married to this guy. And then that's when he told her that I don't think you should. And then she was like, what, you think that he's too good for me? And he was like, no, it's quite the opposite. She took it the wrong way.
Yeah, see, when we say that, we're not trying to be mean. We're trying to tell you, you might want to take a look what his character is.
Yeah.
And, like, why is he moving this fast? We're not trying to be dicks about it. We're just trying to help you out. So, in one way, don't take it too much at heart. Yeah, we can be dicks about it, but we're not. If we're trying to tell you, hey, you might want to think another way about it.
Yeah. So, she was actually in the process of making him his flower bouquet. And there goes my phone. The dick guy. And then I guess she decided that she didn't want to marry him, I guess. So she goes looking for him. And she finds Kentaro confronting him and his side piece, his real girlfriend. And they're fighting. Kentaro gets the shit kicked out of him. Noriko sees all this happening. She hears that, what his real intentions were. And she basically was like, I don't want anything to do with you now. She's like, we're not getting married. And Kentaro beats the shit out of him, too. Because he actually has a belt. I don't know what color, but he is a martial artist. And he only fights if he has to. So he would rather his ass get kicked than him fighting back. But I think it said that he had to be really angered in order to fight back.
Well, I know some say martial arts is better to fight defensively than actually vengeance or being an idiot.
It says here, he is also adept in martial arts, but does not fight unless he is angered, and ordinarily just takes a beating.
Yeah, so in one way, after all that stuff, Kentaro is getting ready to leave the noodle shop. She was going to give him a plastic of flowers, and
because she had fallen in love with him, because she realized that he was the one that she loved.
And, Kentaro's like, no.
Yeah.
He wasn't being a dick. He was just like, no. Because he knows he's going to be riding around and he doesn't want her to wait for him, kind of spiel. And one way, Then we get to episode 4, which is, in every anime trope, if it's not a beach, it's the swimming pool.
Is this the swimming pool one?
Yes.
Okay, so this girl's name is, I think, Ayuko. So, she is
pretty much a swimming instructor.
She went to the Olympics.
Yeah, she's a swimmer in the Olympics. She runs the pool. Kentaro comes so he can be with her.
He originally wanted to work at the pool because of her.
Yes,
and he has no idea how to swim.
So he becomes one of those trainers for the kids or whatever.
And for the little kids, so he's dealing with that.
And learns to swim so he can be in the contest with her. And
I do want to point out though that throughout the series, you will see him getting a hard-on.
Not surprising.
That happens multiple times in the series. At least once every episode, you will see Kentaro with an obvious boner.
Yeah, and this is what happens. He gets the job. Teach a little instructions to the kids. She's not getting happy because their kids are not progressing as fast. And you get the point.
Yeah. So, he had to do a
race
with her for something. I don't remember what the race was for.
In one way, trying to prove that he can try to catch up, whatever.
Yeah, because he was very, actually, let me see if I can't look it up real quick. So, he has a race with her, and I really do not remember what the race was for. But he obviously can't swim. And you might have seen it if you're on Facebook, but there is a scene where he's in the pool and he's swimming and he's obviously struggling And I have seen this scene before where he was just struggling, and then he just kind of like stands up and he's like waist deep in the water. I'm sure if y'all saw it, you would probably understand. You would probably would have seen it too.
Yes.
So anyways, he's working. She doesn't really like him because she just doesn't.
He knows he's a creep, but here's the thing.
Was it because he was in her bathroom with the toilet?
No, there was no toilet this time.
I know there was one scene, one episode. I don't know if it was this episode or if it was another episode, but he goes into the bathroom right after she does.
Nah.
Because she had just used the toilet, and apparently that was turning him on.
That was, I think, episode 6.
Okay, so we're not there yet.
Yeah. Anyways, what happened is, like I said, becomes an instructor, tries to do this. He's ogling the swimmer ladies because he talks about how he can see nipples through the swimsuit, and I'm like, dude, please stop. I think you're. I'm like, boy.
Yeah, there was a lot
and
of nippleage.
And afterwards, he gets us in another race with her again, and he is actually catching up with her. And here's what happens.
Because he is giving her hope that he could catch up with her. And she was feeling exhilarated because she's like, when was the last time I felt like this?
Yes. And she does slow, but she realized, he is actually doing better this time. And she, sometimes swimmers swim with their legs open, whatever they do. And let's just say the faster he swam, he rammed her. How can I say this?
Let's just say that he put his face somewhere that
something
you should only do during intimate moments if that's your thing.
And never go to mouth.
Anyways, his face goes in between her legs. Let's put it that way.
Well, yes, and he says sorry, and they get out of the pool, and he does have a boner this time again, but here's the thing. It was pushing up out of his fucking Speedo.
Yeah, it was up out of his Speedo. They blurred it, so you didn't see it. But he was like, well, I can't help it because you're obviously very attractive. And she gets upset, obviously, and she throws him, I think she punched him or something.
Outside with all of his stuff.
Yeah, so she throws him outside. He's wet, cold,
Gets a cold.
He's wet, he gets a cold. But he doesn't come back, and they're just like, oh, what's, so.
And they're like, oh, too bad, and they realize, they go to the kids that he was training. Turns out they were approving more because he tried new methods.
Yeah. And so then the girl, the woman, she realizes that, oh, hey, I was definitely, I was beaten. He did beat me. So then she goes looking for him, and of course she can't find him.
And now we get to episode 5 with I wouldn't say geisha, more like a...
No, she was from a noble family.
And she likes to ride motorcycles.
You first meet her.
And it was one of those European kind.
I don't know, but okay, so she drives past him. He sees her, of course. He's like, oh my god, I gotta get in that. So he gets to the gas station. He sees her bike there. She is wearing a skin tight outfit. Her motorcycle suit, jumpsuit. The front of it's zipped down all the way. Her boobs are almost popping out. I think you do see some nippleage.
Boob ahoy.
And then she literally pleasures herself with the bike.
Yeah, and I'm like, I get it, if you're in private, but in public, I'm like...
She was staring right at Kentaro the entire time that she was doing this. Because, He's a pervert.
Yes, and
She was basically doing it for him.
yes, and after a while, his new job is working at this normal family's house. They got all not slaves, servants
Yeah.
dress up a certain way, do certain, like, say if you're cleaning dishes, like he got hit in the head, it's like, ow, he's like, bad posture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it comes so he meets like the lady of the house, probably the daughter. Her name is Reiko, and she, he's in love with her because she's like, oh, she's so beautiful, she's so elegant, blah blah blah.
And he goes, cleans her toilet, and it's one of those squat toilets.
Yeah, so of course he's all over that too.
And I'm like, then the lady, like,
he seems to have a thing for toilets that women sit on.
Yeah, well, either way, the head servant lady of the house comes telling, oh, we don't need you no longer. He's like, why? He's like, yeah, they're love. He's like, that's why.
Yeah, because Reiko found him all over her toilet.
Yep.
So of course she's like, so I think she had, ratted about that.
Yep.
Well, then he's like, well, I'm not going to leave here until, something happens or something like that. So he, like, camps outside their house, outside the gate for, like, a month, I think it was. And he's like, oh, well, nothing's going to happen. So just as he was thinking about going ahead and leaving, he sees Reiko come out, and she gets in a car, and she goes somewhere. Well, he follows the car. He finds her at, like, this abandoned warehouse. Follows her into the abandoned warehouse, and he sees her kimono all up, and I think she's like almost completely naked on her motorcycle.
Well, she's topless on her motorcycle.
Yeah, well, I said almost completely naked.
Well, topless.
Anyways, so she's getting off on her motorcycle again.
Yes, and Kentaro saws that, and she
knows that he wants her.
And here's the thing. She goes after guys who are... Okay, if you see a guy with a fancy car, what do we all think?
He's got a small penis.
He's got a small dick. In the big house, small dick. Making lots of money. Small dick.
Most likely.
And I'm like... And that's what she thinks about every guy.
It's like that episode of Family Guy where Peter finds out that Chris has a bigger dong than him. So then he just like starts buying like all these cars trying to compensate for the fact that he has a small penis.
Yep.
That his penis is smaller than his son's. Robot Chicken also made fun of this. Where a guy was talking about how his penis was really small. And they're like, oh, well then you want this kind of car. He's like, no, my penis is very small. And he's like, oh, then what about this? He goes, you are underestimating the size of my penis. It is literally concave. He's like, oh, then you want this. And he gets like this big giant mecha looking thing.
From Tron.
And he's just like flying it around. He's like, yes, look at the size of my massive penis. So, yeah, normally if you see something like that, he's normally overcompensating for something. So, anyway, so she's like, if you can beat me in a race, she's like, I'll use my bike, you use your 5-speed. And she's like, well, I'll let you have sex with me.
Right.
So, of course, he goes for it. Now, I'm going to assume that Kentaro is a virgin. I don't think Kentaro has ever slept with anybody.
No, and it's true. Well, I think it is, but how he acts. And yes, they get into this race. She's pretty much winning at this point. But somehow she pissed off the guy in a Porsche or something?
Yeah.
And saying he has a small dick because of it. And so he gets pissed, chases her, and Kentaro takes like a fucking string.
Like a grappling hook. And hooks it onto the back of the Porsche.
And, something happens. He's flying in the air. Takes the hook. It wraps it on a fucking... Was it electrical wiring or whatever?
Mm-hmm. He's, like, riding up on top of the electric wires. Like, but how he was able to catch up, because she was really ahead. How he was able to catch up was he was up on top of, like, this, a hill type thing. And there was, like, this slope that went down that he would have been able to take to have caught up with her, which led to the tunnel that Reiko was in with the Porsche. And so he goes down that, and then he was able to catch up, got on Porsche, got up on top of the electrical wires.
Then got back down to the road where she was. And here's the thing.
He was ahead at that point, if I remember correctly.
Yes. And here's the thing. There's these sharp turns, and he's doing it by laying down, and she just sees it, how he's doing it. And I'm like, then there's the bridge. She goes out, and she stops, and she's like, he almost had me. And turns out he survives.
Yeah, because the bridge is out.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh no, he needs to stop or he's going to die. So he's flying over the bridge, like over the outage of the bridge.
Doesn't make it.
He almost made it, but didn't, and he falls. So then she thinks that he's dead.
And only left by the head that fell off.
Yeah, so she's freaking out because she was like, oh my god, I want him too. But now he's dead, but he survived, and then he just kept going.
And she's like, you forgot your prize. And I'm like, lady, it's not worth it.
Yeah. So,
then, we get to the last, finally, fucking episode.
This time he's working in an animation studio.
Which is kind of cool. And before we go further, you know how, when the part where he's cleaning up the animator's desk?
Mm-hmm.
If you look, when he's just looking at how he sees the desk, if you look at it, it looks like a photo of an animator's desk.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't draw it. They just took a photo and be like, bam, we just saved minutes.
Yeah. So, he's working in this animation studio, and he does have the hots for one of the girls. I don't remember her name. But he likes her.
Yes.
And he's basically... They called him, I think, a production assistant. So, which means he ran all of, the errands and stuff like that. And had to go get food.
Yes.
If he was going out or whatever.
He's pretty much a regular guy who does.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
Yeah, no, like you said, he does all that. He's trying to help the writers. And he's, noticing that they're not eating healthy. They have to stay overnight. So, he cooks. And I used to work at a noodle shop, and the little kitchen he was at, it was right next to the bathroom, and she was using the toilet.
And so, of course, he has to go in there and do his gross fetish thing.
And, the boss comes up, and he's like, "Boof!" He had the knife in his hand. He didn't cut him, only his hand. He only cuts it. Give him a haircut. That was it.
Yeah, so, he managed to keep his job. So, the guy because I guess the mangaka that they were basing this movie off of, he came in and he's this really nice juvenile man, gave Kentaro an autograph and stuff like that.
With boobs in it.
Yeah, now the woman, his assistant or whatever, she was a bitch. And so she was really strict. She's like, we need to have this done by this time, blah, 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 this. Well, then the director got into an accident.
And they can't get everything done. And all the production people, they're like, we're not going to do it. It's going to take too much time, money. And he says, why don't we just use computer animation like Disney? I'm like, well, I think Disney's now going to be pissed.
Yeah, so then it turns out that they didn't have anybody that could really do it. So then Kentaro calls the woman from the first episode, and she's like, oh, Kentaro, yes, I'll do it. So then they started doing that.
And they did, they need someone to do, swimming scenes.
No, we'll get to that.
All right.
So we're going to go in order. So then the next girl, their voice actresses dropped out. So then the Naoko and her friend decided that, which is the mayor's daughter, the politician's daughter, she comes in and she does the voice acting.
And they need food.
They needed food, so Noriko from the third episode comes in.
And somehow the animators loved her, because I'm like, somehow they love a girl like Noriko. I'm like, well, yeah, she looks nice, sweet, makes food. Who doesn't like that?
So then they needed someone for swimming scenes. So then they brought in the woman from the fourth episode. Then they needed to get the movie to the theater in time, so they gave it to Reiko, who drove really fast to get it there. And that was basically, so he had called in favors to all these girls that had fallen in love with him, and they all agreed because they were in love with him. And the animation girl also fell in love with him.
But here's the thing, like, after going and watching the movie, everyone in the test screening, and, like, they're trying to do, everyone's there from previous episodes, and Kotaro thinks they hate it, but they love it.
They loved it, yeah, but so he left before the end of the movie. Because he's just like, we did our best, but now it's ruined. So he's just like, I'm just going to go ahead and leave. And so all the girls start chasing after him.
And they're like, not again!
Except for the animation girl.
Because she knows that the story needed an ending.
Yeah. So, and then basically that's pretty much how it ends, with him going to a different town.
And the girls are chasing him.
Yep.
And the narrators keep saying everything at the same end. He could save the world or not.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. It never got a second season. Ended, so we're all done.
Well, I mean, it really doesn't need a second season.
Which I'm glad it
because
didn't.
All it was just an original video animation, an OVA. So it was just kind of like a standalone thing. Because the actual manga... Hold on, let me pull it up again.
Yeah.
The manga ran from... Give me just a moment here. The manga ran from 1992 to 1997.
Right.
And there was 10 volumes of the manga. So then they had the original video animation,
Right.
which was released in October 27th, 1995, and it ran until June 28th of 1996. And then there was actually a second manga called Golden Boy 2. That only had 2 volumes, and that ran from September 15th, 2010 until May 18th, 2011.
Well, either way, I don't even, like I said, even if it is an OVA, truth be told, how it acts, I'm like, maybe it's just better off a manga and, like you said, OVA. But besides that, I was like, okay, it was funny, but it was also dumb, and I give it a 5 out of 10.
So here it says parts of the manga were adapted into a 6-episode original video animation (OVA) series produced by Shueisha and KSS in 1995. In North America, it was first licensed by ADF Films in 1996. ADF's licensed series expired in 2007 and was later acquired by Media Blasters. Media Blasters lost the license in 2012, and it was later acquired by Discotek Media. A sequel to the manga, Golden Boy 2, was serialized in Business Jump from September 2012 to May 2011. I kind of want to read the manga and see if the manga is any different or any worse or any better. Sometimes the manga is a lot better than the animation.
Well, yeah, I agree. But here's the thing. I just give it all a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, it had its moments where it was funny.
Yeah.
And some of the moments there were some moments that were kind of sweet. But for me, I think it was just like...
Too many dick jokes, too many tit jokes, and I'm like...
I mean, I don't mind, like, the scantily clad stuff. Because, I mean, I like seeing some of my favorite characters scantily clad. Like
that, too. I like a good dick joke. But when it's like every 5 seconds, it gets old.
Yeah, like the sexualization of the women in this was very... Now, I'm not a feminist, so don't get me wrong. But just...
She's not. She'll...
They really overdid the sexualization of women in this anime. And that... I mean, I'm all for fan service, but this was way too much fan service.
I think more than too much, just like, hell no, too much.
Yeah, it was a lot. Like, it was...
It's like I said, if you're bored one day and your favorite anime's not on and you just want to go, hey, what the fuck? Let's rot our minds for a couple of hours, see what happens. Mm-hmm. Then watch it. But here's the thing. This is what I'm going to try to make again. 1, this is not a kids anime.
Definitely not.
All you parents who have not seen an anime, it's not. And all those jerks who keep saying, oh, animes are for kids. well, look at this, and it's not for fucking kids, morons.
Yeah, it's definitely, this is one of them that's definitely not for kids.
I can remember, like, say, Dragon Ball. Well, more like preteen.
Mm-hmm.
But Pokemon, little. Digimon, little. I think that's it.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably argue and say that Yu-Gi-Oh! Like the original series, maybe the manga's a lot darker.
Oh, I heard about.
We're not going to talk about that. We'll talk about that later.
What, season 0?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that later.
I want to find that and watch that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's. I mean, and there are some Cells at Work would probably be one for children, young children too.
That
Kaleidostar. There's quite a few that would be good for little kids, but then you get into stuff like Jujutsu Kaisen, Golden Boy, Tokyo Ghoul, Berserk.
That's more like late teen, early adult.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I know people say, well, about Avatar and Teen Titans. They're not anime.
They're not anime. They just have the animation style.
They have an animation style, but it's done by America.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's where we're going to leave this off.
We are at 24.
Yeah. So we need 76 more subscribers.
And give us a like and a comment. And give us a like and a comment. And subscribe.
Have you seen it? Did you like it? What do you think?
If you do watch it, remember there's a warning. It's not for kids. There's even a rating system.
Yeah, it's rated TV mature.
So please look at that. I don't know. I always see those fucking parents. They'll give a kid a rated M game. It's like, oh, it's just a game. And I'm like,
there's a reason why it has that rating.
Yeah, like you see a kid playing God of War, and then you see Kratos pulling a guy's arm apart. I'm like, why is a fucking 7-year-old playing this?
It's whatever, It's not my kid.
Right. Even's like, I don't have a kid, but I'm like, your parents are idiots.
Yeah, I don't have children either, so. Anyways, if you have seen Golden Boy, leave that in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Whatever. Your thoughts on it.
And
give us a like subscribe.
And we'll hopefully try to show our face soon and do some cosplay for y'all.
So, our next hint is going to be Rice Ball. So, let's see if you guys can figure this out.
Yeah.
Because we actually have not talked about this yet, I don't think. So we have talked about something similar earlier in our series. So let's, we'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. We're going to talk about it. Mike's finally going to get to watch this, so I'm excited to see what he thinks about it.
Yes, and let's all say goodbye.
Yep. Bye, guys.
See ya.